My wife became a doctor and celebrated by filing for divorce the same day. I signed without saying a word. I remember the exact moment I saw it. Her smile, wide and bright, stretched across her face like the world had just handed her everything she'd ever wanted. She held a small, official-looking envelope in one hand and my future, the one I thought we were building together, in the other. I froze, the coffee cup slipping from my fingers, shattering across the tile. The sound echoed like a warning I'd ignored. "Surprise," she said, as if it were a gift rather than a bomb. I stared at her and at the paper. It was a divorce petition. Filed. That morning. By her. I didn't expect this, I said, though my voice sounded small, weak, like it belonged to someone else entirely. "I know," she replied, tilting her head. "But I can't keep pretending. I finally finished my residency, Hussam. I finally became a doctor. And I realized I don't want to pretend with my life anymore. Especially not with you." Her words didn't make sense at first. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to ask how she could choose this moment, this way, after everything we'd shared. But instead I just nodded. Something inside me, the part that knew I had lost her long before this, quietly whispered, "Go ahead. Sign it. Don't fight it." The truth is, the cracks had been there for years. I had missed them because I wanted to believe in us, in her. Late nights at the hospital became late nights out with someone else. Her phone, always locked, was suddenly her shield and her confession. I remember the way she would brush off questions, laugh at my curiosity and say, "Don't be jealous. You're imagining things." I wanted to believe her. I had to. But deep down the unease had grown, gnawing at the edges of my confidence, turning trust into suspicion. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to admit that while I was working to pay the bills and support her dreams, she was building a life I wasn't part of. And now, on the day she became a doctor, her proudest day, her crowning achievement, she chose to break my heart. I didn't say a word as I signed the papers. I held the pen like a weapon against my own chest, trembling, feeling every ounce of love I had for her turn into grief. She watched me carefully, probably expecting rage, tears, begging. Maybe she even wanted humiliation. She got none. I gave her silence, the kind that carries the weight of everything unsaid. Afterwards we stood in the kitchen, the broken coffee cup still on the floor, the sunlight catching the edges of the shards. She smiled again, nervously, like a child afraid of punishment. "Are you okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah," I said, though my voice was quieter, steadier than I felt. I didn't tell her the truth. That I wasn't okay, that I might never be okay. That I had just lost more than a wife that day. I had lost a life I thought I could count on. The weeks that followed were a blur. She moved out, packing her dreams into boxes while I unpacked my heartbreak into the corners of our empty apartment. I replayed every conversation, every missed sign, every lie I had overlooked. I wondered if I had been blind, naive, or just too desperate to hold on to something that wasn't mine anymore. And then late one night, when the apartment was quiet and the world outside felt impossibly heavy, I found the truth. Not through confrontations or searching her messages, but in the little things she left behind. Receipts, notes, a photograph of her with someone I had never met. Someone who had been there in the shadows of our marriage, in the gaps she had left unspoken. It hurt. Not because I hadn't expected it, but because I realized I had been complicit in my own heartbreak. I had loved blindly, hoped endlessly, and now I had to let go. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't try to expose her. I didn't call the people she had wronged. I simply let her go, and in doing so I found a strange kind of liberation. The silence that followed the divorce, which I had once feared, became my sanctuary. Months later, I walked past a hospital on my way home from work. I saw her in the window in her white coat, smiling at someone else's success, someone else's joy. And for the first time I didn't feel envy or anger. I felt a quiet acknowledgement of what had been, and what would never be again. I realized that her filing for divorce wasn't just an act of betrayal. It was her declaration of independence. And my signing it wasn't defeat, it was my act of survival. I had allowed her to leave, but I hadn't let her destroy me. I hadn't lost my dignity. I hadn't lost myself. Sometimes I think about what I would have said if I had shouted, if I had begged, if I had tried to change her mind. But then I remember the strength it took to sit there, pen in hand, and let her choose without resistance. There's a certain power in that silence, a kind of quiet revenge that no one sees but yourself. I never contacted her again. I never asked for explanations or apologies. I didn't need them. Her happiness wasn't mine to take away, and my heartbreak wasn't hers to own. And though the wound still aches occasionally, I have learned that some endings are not meant to be dramatic. They are meant to be lived through quietly with dignity intact. The day she filed for divorce, she thought she was celebrating a victory. But the truth is I survived it. And sometimes surviving is its own kind of triumph.